Hello and welcome back to Kyle's Collection. Today I'm going to take you on a walk down memory lane in regards to the Animal Crossing franchise, specifically its earliest iteration known in the West as Population Growing for the Gamecube. Okay, so our story begins here with Nintendo Power, Volume 158. I remember reading this little write-up and just getting so excited. The whole appeal was, hey, it's your town, your own house, you're on your own, you got all kinds of cool animal buddies, you can customize your decor, you can go fishing, catch bugs, there's special events, and of course the seasons and time of day change in line with a real-world clock, which was a very unique gimmick at the time. All of this combined with my then current state of life kind of made for the perfect storm. I was living at home with my parents because I believe I would have been in high school. And at that age, the idea of just going out on your own is just so appealing. So to me, the fantasy of that really struck a chord. So yeah, I'm not going to dwell on this issue. It was a nice little article. It really summed up the game well in a bright and colorful manner, and sure enough, it got me to buy the game. So here it is, my original Animal Crossing Population Growing for Nintendo Gamecube. This is the Canadian edition, so if you're watching from the States, it might look a little different, but probably not in any major way. And inside you have the manual, the disc, and the memory card. Yeah, this was a neat thing. The game took up so much room that Nintendo decided the only way they could justify that was including a memory card. And hey, it seems like a good selling point. Wow, bonus memory card. Needless to say, this isn't the kind of game you could just leave on overnight and hope the power doesn't go out. You can see there's a bit of wear and tear on my memory card from inserting it and removing it so many times. I actually had a second memory card with a second town. This was back in the days where if you wanted a second town, you had to spend, I'd say roughly, what was it, 40, 50? I don't remember the price of a memory card, but I'll tell you this, it was a lot cheaper than buying a second Switch, which is what New Horizons requires if you want a second town. Ridiculous. This might be interesting. I imagine some people might have thrown it away. It's one of those pamphlets for Nintendo Power subscriptions. I kind of miss seeing these. Back in the day, you'd get one with every game you bought. And they'd always offer some kind of cool, limited edition incentive. In this case, it's an Animal Crossing t-shirt and the official player's guide, which of course I also own 2 copies of for some reason. This is the GameCube precautions booklet. Boring. And of course, here's the instruction booklet. Again, I miss seeing these. They don't give them out anymore. They might try to say it's to save the environment, but it's because they don't want to pay for the printing costs. Which I guess I can't fully blame them, because look at this. It's in full color and absolutely gorgeous. A lot of this information was very basic, like teaching you controls and how to navigate through the game's menus. But there was some interesting stuff too, like this little bit about how the e-reader can interact with the game, and also the Game Boy Advance link cable functionality. And at the back here, what a blast from the past, there's a password page. Maybe this is where you could write down those universal codes that you would get to unlock items through Tom Nook.
Before we continue, it's probably worth mentioning that anyone watching a video about different versions of a game released way back in 2001 might be interested in today's sponsor. Gallisto is the trusted marketplace for collectors. It doesn't matter if it's video games, action figures, comics, or cards. If it's collectible, you'll find it on Gallisto. Available through the App Store or Google Play, Gallisto is the perfect tool for both buyers and sellers. Users and listings are always verified, and the service offers some of the lowest selling fees on the market. Not only that, you can use the app to scan collectibles you own or things you're interested in buying. It's a marketplace and an online collection rolled into one. Talk about handy. But hey, don't take my word for it. Head over to Gallisto.com and see for yourself.
So, a bit of history here. This is Animal Forest for the N64. The game we got, Animal Crossing, is actually a Gamecube port. Animal Forest was exclusive to Japan and released very late in the system's life cycle. Add that to the fact that there was just so much dialogue, it probably didn't seem like a worthwhile endeavor for Nintendo to localize it, at least at the time. It's hard to explain the appeal of this now that there are like a bunch of Animal Crossing games, but back when there was just the one, the promise of any additional content was just so enticing. And in this case, there's not even more content, there's actually less. And that too, I found kind of interesting. This game doesn't have a museum, for instance. And yeah, there was different furniture and different events, but that's just because they were so darn Japanese. As in, us Canadians and Americans probably wouldn't understand their significance. Not that that matters. Essentially, you have, all new items to find. And it was just kind of cool to be walking through the town, and instead of finding a wishing well, you find a shrine. So inside here, we have the cartridge, which is just, it's still amazing to see. Like, I know it started as a Nintendo 64 game, but to me, it was always a GameCube game. So to see it here in cartridge format is just, it's something else, man. There's even a little spot to write your name, to personalize it as your own Animal Forest town. Not only do we not get manuals, we also no longer get these little handy-dandy control guides. I also got some of these in my other Canadian games. I remember very vividly the Yoshi Story one. Basically, it just shows you the controls you'll need, so you don't have to flip through the whole manual. You can just open up this piece of cardboard and there you go. And hey, they even went the extra mile and showed the various seasons and the different events that you could participate in. And here in the moon viewing ceremony, I don't know what this mouse is standing next to, but it doesn't look familiar at all. And hey, look, they're having a picnic. That's different too. Moving on to the manual, wow, what a gorgeous cover. I like the artwork for Animal Crossing Population Growing in North America, but this is just next level. I guess I'm a sucker for a sunset. If you really want to get a closer look at this, you could probably find scans online. This is just so you can see the general layout and some of the nice character renders. And hey, look at the back, there's a cute little group photo. What a great manual. I might even say a work of art. It's lame, but that might be how I actually feel. Oh, and here's Toad. I don't know what this is all about. I can't read Japanese. Okay, the next one here, Animal Forest Plus, is kind of a mistake. Spoiler alert, there's also an Animal Forest E+, and I thought that's what this was. Nonetheless, it is a cool little piece of history, and I'm glad that I own it. I don't know if this was quite launched for GameCube, but it came pretty early on, obviously predating our version, Animal Crossing Population Growing. In essence, that's what this is. It's a upgraded version of the Nintendo 64 title. Mostly the same, but with a few additions such as the island and the museum. Here's the disc, and as you can see, like our version, it also comes with a memory card. Theirs has a cool little gyroid on it. So once again, here's the manual. Very much the same as the Animal Forest for Nintendo 64 manual. But as you get near the end, you do see a little bit about the Game Boy Advance and how you can use it to travel to the island. And if that's not enough, there's also this little insert that, again, mentions, hey, if you buy this handheld and this cable, you can unlock more features. Here's some more pamphlets, the pink one describing how to properly handle a GameCube disc, and the yellow one, who knows, it has something to do with the memory card. Maybe it's telling you not to remove it while the game is saving. Finally, here's Animal Forest E+, which I consider to be kind of the holy grail. Not that it's particularly rare or hard to get, but when I was younger, this seemed like such a fantasy to be able to experience this. Now, that may sound melodramatic, but it's true. So this is basically how this worked. You had Animal Forest for Nintendo 64, ported to GameCube as Animal Forest Plus, and then localized into Animal Crossing Population Growing. But the localization team apparently did such a good job that Nintendo of Japan decided, hey, we'd love to have some of these tweaks you made included in our version. So they released it again, and this time with even more stuff. Some of the content in this game, such as certain species of bugs and fish, we wouldn't see in a North American title until Wild World or perhaps even City Folk. This version also featured the ability to, in a very rudimentary way, place items outside. I'd say it's like New Horizons, but it's really closer to what we were doing in New Leaf for the 3DS. How you could commission certain projects and they would appear as large, immovable objects in the world. Again, I remember scouring the internet and finding screenshots of a giant Yoshi egg and Godzilla footprints and just being stunned. This was also the version where you could break open rocks and occasionally find a hole which you could drop into and visit Mr. Rossetti in the Reset Surveillance Center. You could smash Tom Nook's door with your shovel, waking him up. He would charge you a little more, but you could go shopping at any time of night. And another interesting thing is you didn't actually need the Game Boy Advance to reach the island. Once you paid off your house, you could simply buy an island. Honestly, people sometimes talk about like an Animal Crossing GameCube HD remake. I don't know if there's an audience for that, but if they did take that route, I would love to see E+ localized in HD. I think that would have the best chance of kind of warranting its existence, because a lot of people just haven't seen this stuff. Now, it may look like I'm missing a memory card here, but I'm not sure if this version actually included one. Both Animal Crossing Population Growing and Animal Forest Plus proudly display the free memory card on the cover of the games, but here I see no such advertisement. I love the artwork on the front of this manual. I'm a sucker for the fall time aesthetic, and it's neat that it maintains the same art style as the North American cover. The inside of the manual, again, it's beautiful in full color with lots of great renders and screenshots, but it doesn't really show a lot of the new features I was discussing, with the exception of these little Game Boy Advance minigames, which we did not get. We have access to a Tropical Island minigame you could play on the Game Boy Advance, but none of this other stuff. And again, more little pages here, proper disc handling instructions, and something else. Who knows? So I guess that just about wraps it up. If you own any of these releases, or something even more obscure that I'm not even aware of, leave a comment down below. Or hey, if you got a cool Animal Crossing memory to share, that's fun too. Either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.